What's going on, everyone? Welcome to q.v.o Games. My name is Juan. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it so much. This video is going to be about the games coming to retail the week of April 30th. We have a bleed into the first week of May, and we have about 20 games, some expansions, some games, all coming out this week. We are in that period, typically the same thing as last year, where we have a bunch of new stuff coming out, and I am here to present that to you. Before that, let me give you a little bit of insight. I was just at the Gamma Expo up in Reno, Nevada, and I had the most wonderful time out there. I got to hang out with so many cool people and got to experience, make memories, and just boost my creativity by like my want or my need to create has like skyrocketed from all the amazing people I met out there. And there's going to be a Gamma recap video coming up soon. If it's not already posted, it will be posted shortly after this video. I am super fulfilled and full of happiness. My heart is full of everything I got to experience out there, and I am thankful to everybody who made that happen. We did a lot of networking. We hopefully got in touch with a lot of publishers and kind of like broke into the skin to have them let us know what their games, or like an update on what games coming to retail from all the publishers, and they can just let us know what is coming up, and I can present it to you so you know what is coming out. And without further ado, let's get this video going, because I do not want this to be a 30-minute video with all the presenting we're going to do. Let's get this video going. Keep in mind, I am covering the games coming to retail in the US. Some of these games may have already been released in other regions of the world. If that is the case, you may already be seeing other reviews, some content where someone got an early copy, someone to a convention got a copy. I am covering the games coming to retail in the US specifically. Also keep in mind, sometimes these games have a change or get their release date pushed back. If that is the case, I will make sure to update you on that change in its respective video. Let's get this video going, showing you some games. First things first, we're starting off with Power Rangers deck building game S.P.D to the Rescue expansion. So this game was previously this expansion to the game was previously going to be released March 13th. Now it's coming out May 31st. I'll do a small little snippet just to kind of remind you of what this expansion is about. Power Rangers deck building game is a game where you're going head to head with other people, playing as your favorite Power Rangers and villains from the Power Rangers series. When you go up against them, you're going to be building a deck out with a grid of cards up in front of you. Those cards are going to be collected you're either going to defeat them or add them to your repertoire, and depending on the villain or hero side, depends what cards you do what with. And some of them do damage to your enemy, and some of them also you can collect to add to your deck. And that's what you do. This expansion adds some new characters, some new villains, and new cards with new effects. That's the short of it. It's coming out May 1st now. Coming up next by Capstone Games, we have Small City Deluxe Edition. This is a special announcement, and it should already be available for purchase. However, I'm only going over this because it is a deluxe edition from Kickstarter, now being out to retail. You can purchase it now and today, which is the interesting part about this is that this is just like I guess they had leftover copies, basically is what I'm trying to say. And the reason why I'm touching base on this is because I love Deluxeified games. I love when my game has like the best components. I think it helps table presence, it helps me like the game even more and play it more often, just keeps my attention going. And I love deluxe editions of the games. I'm going to go over this game a little bit. However, keep in mind this game's already out. You can buy it today on their website. And they have, of course, different versions of it. A Small City Deluxe Edition, a Winter Expansion, buy one or the other, or you can buy both. I think this game's interesting, and let me go over that and tell you why I think it is. Small Cities, basically the way they compare it is like the original SimCity game, but now on the tabletop. You're going to have your own little grid, and your grid you're going to be building out your city over the course of 8 different turns. Your whole goal is to be the best one to be elected mayor, and you're gonna have your own grid. You have your own little grid that you're going to be building on. And it's going to involve keeping the people happy and the population happy as you're drafting different city buildings and tiles to try to add to your grid there to make the best city possible. The game looks extremely interesting. I actually may be picking up a copy, I'm not too sure, only because, like I said, I love a Deluxeified game, and I want to give this a shot because I love SimCity, and I love everything it was for, and this is what this game is going to do for me. You're basically working an economy city building style game, and you're just building out a city, trying to get the most points possible, but depending on how you build your city over the course of 8 turns. Interesting game. Capstone does a really good job with all their games, and I'm excited to try this one out and see what's going on with it. This is going to be Small City by Capstone Games, coming out we should already be out actually, to purchase. Coming up next by Capstone Games is going to be the Clinic Biohazard expansion for Clinic. If you don't know what Clinic is of course a board game, and in the game you're basically managing a hospital. It's very, very and very inclusive to the theme. You're trying to manage the best hospital you can, and if you don't know about Clinic, they have like multiple expansions. The base game alone is already extremely heavy. It's a really heavy Euro style game, and you're are going to be adding more expansions. This is the final expansion that adds into the game, and it's going to include like disposing and recycling of like different biohazard items within your patients. Each expansion, I think there's 5 total right now, adds a extension to the game that adds even more things to worry about and think about. Pretty cool thing. If you love heavy, crunchy games like that, Clinic is definitely for you. And if you love the theme of like medical or managing a hospital, I have a copy of Clinic and I have yet to play it. The only reason why is because it is such a heavy game. I'm really intimidated by it. I would love to play it though. I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be another expansion for it, a Clinic Biohazard, and you can pick this up on the website. It's just a special announcement that it's already available to pick up by online by Capstone Games. Coming up next, we're going to be doing the Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid Shadow of Venjix theme pack expansion for Heroes of the Grid, and it's going to be coming out May 1st. And this is going to be an expansion of the Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. If you know what that is, Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid is a game I really enjoy. Keep in mind the bias there that I love the Power Rangers IP, so this is the style of game that I really enjoy. You're basically managing different locations, trying to make sure it doesn't overload on different enemies, right? So if you have 7 enemies in one location, if there's a maximum of 7 enemies, the capacity to have in one location, you don't want it to overflow in crisis, because if it does, you lose the game if it does it 3 times. You're being playing as Power Rangers, trying to go up against and manage up against different villains, and you're managing trying to keep the threat low and defeat the boss. I love this game a lot. I really do enjoy it. However, I am also biased because the theme is something that I love. I'm a really big nerd fan of Power Rangers. I love like everything about it. I want to eventually have collectibles and helmets and the original Mighty Morphers. So keep that in mind when I talk about this. This expansion is just going to add some new villains to fight and add some new miniatures to your game. By the way, the miniatures are top tier. I love the miniatures in this game. Coming up next is the Power Rangers of the Grid Ranger Allies Pack number 3. And expansion of Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid, and it's going to add new Ranger allies. So the previous one adds new villains to fight, and also minions, and this one's going to add new characters for you to play as, new Power Rangers to play as. That's really all it is for the game. I go over this they released a lot of expansions, so I've talked about this multiple times, so I'm not going to bore you if you watch my previous videos, but basically, it's just an expansion that adds some more content to your game. This is coming out May 1st. Coming up next, DC, the deck building game Injustice. It's going to be an expansion to the original DC deck building game. This is coming out May 2nd, and we have 3 different SKUs coming out. So it's going to be not just DC, the deck building game Injustice, but also the Flash versus Reverse Flash, and also the Multiverse Superhero Edition box. And I'm going to start off with the first one here and tell you a little bit about the DC deck building game. I am a big fan of superhero stuff and stuff like that. So this game itself, DC the deck building game, is going to be a similar game where you're going to be pre-constructing a deck, building your deck out, and then going and using it like an engine or a combo to try to continue defeating the villains that are going to be coming out. In the game, it has a lot of different cards, and the cards themselves all have different powers and abilities. For example, and this is going to be the Injustice expansion. So if you read the comics, I am not familiar with DC Comics, but I just know that Injustice is when like a lot of heroes went bad. So there's just going to be expansion to that. All this stuff was originally on Kickstarter and is now coming out to retail. The game is pretty interesting. I mean, I enjoy this style of games. One of my favorite games of all time that I play frequently, and I'm always going to play again, is Marvel Champions. I am not really into the DC scene. However, I don't doubt this game is pretty much a good one, only because what I've read about it and all the reviews, everyone seems to really enjoy it. I enjoy a good card game, and this is going to be an expansion to DC the deck building game, and it's going to add some Injustice characters to it. The coming up next is going to be the Flash versus Reverse Flash version. Like I said, this game, Kickstarter, now coming to retail. This is just going to add some more content to your DC deck building game, and it's going to add Reverse Flash and the Flash. A little more of a scenario and story to play as, and 3 new characters. It's going to be a expansion to that game. There's a lot of content for this game already. So if you already own this game, you want to own this game, and if you're one person like me who wants to own absolutely everything for a game, especially when you enjoy it, be really careful before you dive into this rabbit hole, because there is a lot of content. Nothing bad, because that means there's variability to it, but for me, that is bad, because and then I'll spend a lot of money on buying all the content there is for the game. And the next thing we're going to talk about is DC the deck building game Multiverse box. So basically, this is just a huge box, like a deluxe box, to put all your stuff into the box and store your DC the deck building game content. It comes with a few things. Look at that nice way to storage and organize your DC. Things like this I enjoy a lot. I talk about this a lot, and I love it when games have like a specific box to organize everything. Then I don't have to go third party. I don't mind going first party. I don't mind going third party when it's a really good product, but I do enjoy when they just have it there included. They've thought about that in advance. They know it's going to be a lot of content. They want people to own their content, and they just include a box for you to store absolutely everything, especially when it's efficient. It's a great way to organize. If it's not a good way if they don't create an efficient way to organize it, then I'll typically will go third party and just buy something from somewhere else. This thing is going to give you some deluxeified components for the game, and as well as a place to store all your DC deck building games. That is beautiful art, by the way. That's super cool. If you're a DC deck building fan, that is awesome. That looks really nice. Kudos to Cryptozoic Entertainment, because that is beautiful. This was on Kickstarter. It's not coming to retail. This is coming out May 2nd, along with the other expansions. You can pick it up in retail soon, especially on their website. Coming up next, we're going to be going over The Number by Repos Production. I am pretty excited to talk about this. This is coming out to you on May 5th. And this is a Japanese game that has been ported over into an English version. Interesting game. I thought this was really interesting. I'm excited to talk to you about it. So you're going to be doing a lot of bluffing, risk-taking, and also a lot of guessing. You're going to be guessing a number from 0 to 999, and your whole goal is to write a number, a 3-digit number, and be the only one with that number. If your number matches anyone else's number from the list, you go straight down, you're going to be eliminated. Basically, you can't score this round. For example, if I have 788 and you have 889, since one of your numbers match someone else's number in that 3-digit number, you guys are both now eliminated. And the way to score essentially is if you put 888 and someone else puts 777, for example, the person with the higher number and not matching with anyone else's gets to score the first number on their left. However, the catch is that you have your little grid here, and let's see if I can get a better picture. Right here in this section here, 1 to 9, and you're going to be marking these off, indicating I have used 200, I have used 300, I have used 2, I have used 3, I have used 4, so you cannot put that digit on your first section of your number now. You're going to have to be using the numbers. Pretty cool game. I enjoy that puzzle. Well, not really a puzzle. I enjoy that aspect of it. It's really cool to be just guessing like that and just having to be a quick game to play around with. This is going to be The Number by Repos Production, coming out May 5th. Coming up next, coming out May 5th as well, is going to be Tuned by Thundergriff Games. I want to show you some quick pictures here, because this is definitely one you have to look at while I talk about. Or else it's not going to make sense. So you have these components here, and it's basically a more complex game of tic-tac-toe. Each little thing, right? If you will have 3 in a row, you win the game. You win the game essentially. And the grid is, let me see if I can get some more pictures here. There's not a grid. That's not a good picture of the grid. There it is. So tic-tac-toe. And the way it works is the bottom one has each little piece has specific rules of how they can be placed. And when you're placing them, you can't really put 1, 2, 3 on the bottom if there's a top piece on top of the bottom piece. You have to have it be the upmost piece, and it has to be on top. The very bottom piece right here is going to be, that has to be put on the ground level. You cannot stack it on top of the cat or on top of the dog. The next one, oh, this is a donkey. So you can't stack the donkey on top of the cat, on top of the dog. The dog, which is the gray piece here, can't be stacked on top of the cat. It has to be either stacked on top of the donkey or on the ground floor. The cat cannot be stacked on top of the donkey. It has to be stacked on top of the dog or on the ground floor. And your whole goal is to have 3 in a row, but make sure that the 3 in a row is the topmost piece. Interesting little game. It kind of takes tic-tac-toe to an advanced level. So if you like tic-tac-toe style games, this takes you up a step or up a notch to play a more complex version of tic-tac-toe. Pretty cool game, honestly. This is by Thundergriff Games, coming out on May 5th. Coming up next is going to be the 100 Tori Diverging Pass and expansion bundle. What's going to be the expansion, and it comes with the 100 Tori Diverging Pass by Pencil First Games, coming out on May 5th. This game's an interesting one. I am a big fan of Pencil First Games, only because they made one of my favorite 2-player games of all time called Skull Hollow, and they also have Mole Peak that just came out recently as well. This is going to be I consider it a similar game to Carcassonne, and the way you're going to be putting tiles down, depending on how you put the tiles down, how you score and grab different symbols, and the symbols you connect are going to determine how much you're scoring, along with keeping in mind that you're trying to pass under Tories when you're making the path. Tories are these. I may be saying that word wrong, and I'm so sorry if I am. I believe it's Tori. And I'm going to keep going down here. These are the different tiles that you're going to be using, and you're going to be collecting symbols. The Diverging Paths expansion, the expansion that comes with it, it's a mini expansion, is going to add some new symbols to worry about, some new scoring mechanics. This game is it's an interesting one. Like I said, I'm a big fan so far. Even the art itself, Pencil First Games always does a phenomenal job at having beautiful, beautiful color palettes they use for all their games, and that's a gorgeous picture as well. A lot of table presence with this one, a lot of table presence, and if you're a big fan of Carcassonne, this may be in your alley. I have yet to play this game, and there's a lot of games that when I present that I don't play, so it's really hard for me to give you an exact thing. So far, it looks interesting. I wasn't a big fan of Carcassonne. I thought it was an alright style game. This one might interest me because I love Japanese culture and the Japanese theme of games. This is going to be a bundle expansion this is going to be a bundle, the 100 Tori Diverging Paths plus the expansion, and this is coming out to you on May 5th. Coming up next, we're going to go over Yucatan by Matago, and it's going to be releasing May 5th. Yucatan. It's a strategic board game, and you're playing as Mayan city builders, and you're competing to win the favor of the gods. The way you're doing so is you're going to have different monsters and troops. You're going to be trying to vie control over different locations. This is actually a better picture here. Let me full screen that for you. And you're going to have your different boards here. This reminds me very much of like games like Blood Bowl, the Blood Bowl, Rising Sun. The game about with Anubis, I completely forgot the name. It's leaving my head. And there's another game. That reminds me as well. You're kind of fighting for control, and you're sending out different monsters, different creatures, and different troops who have different levels. And your goal is to basically capture those enemies or kill those enemies and then sacrifice them to the gods. It's a different style of theme of the game, so I appreciate that a lot. And look at that nice pyramid and some of these really cool miniatures they have there. I think this game, if you don't already own a game like, I'm going to say it wrong again. Blood Rage. That's what it was. Blood Rage. Like a Blood Rage and all these classics of like area control games. This one may not be up your alley, but I think the new theme, adding in some new cool stuff going on, and as well as like the mechanics, what's going on here as well, is really interesting. Yucatan is definitely a big game. It was originally on Kickstarter. Now it's coming out to retail for everyone to be able to purchase. However, it's definitely going to have some fierce competition. There are a lot of great games that do similar to what Yucatan kind of does, and competing with those directly can be pretty tough. Yucatan is going to be a game by Matago coming out on May 5th. Coming up next is going to be the Great Wall miniatures version coming out to you on May 5th. The Great Wall. I played the Great Wall many times before, and I think it's a great game. I don't own a copy of the game. However, I do think the miniatures added to the game is really essential because it has a really beautiful table presence. It's a huge game, and in the game, you're essentially doing X. You're doing exactly what it's saying. You're defending the Great Wall. It's about the Great Wall. You're defending the Great Wall, and the way you're doing so, it is still a competitive game. However, you're doing so by sending out your people to work, it's a worker placement game, sending them out, collecting different resources to either build up the wall and build defenses. And the thing is, you're working together to defend the wall. However, at the end of the game, only one person wins. I like that aspect, and I actually thought the game was really neat because of the table presence of building up the wall and working together, but not really working. You're working together, but also trying to be the best at it while working together. I consider it almost like semi-cooperative, but there's only one winner no matter what at the end of the game. And the thing is, the game has a lot of great miniatures. I think you definitely need the miniatures to make this game a good one. I don't think the meeples do it justice. It looks awesome and amazing on a table. The gameplay, it's actually fairly neat. I really enjoy the gameplay itself. This is going to be, why is it not showing? Here, let's see if I can full screen this a little bit. This is going to be this is going to be your playmat here, like your board, and you have different spots down here to go out and send your workers out to collect different resources to build. And then here's where your wall is going to be built. There's going to be waves of people coming out, waves of troops or people trying to attack the wall. And your goal is to set up archers and set up troops to defend the wall. And when you do that, you get points for like killing so many, right? You killed the most this time. You defended the wall the best, and you gain points for that. And you go around collecting points with the scoreboard down here on the left-hand side. And the game is a worker placement game that I think they did a really good job with it. It has like I said, awesome theme, great table presence. It's a really good worker placement game. Along with that, we're going to have a bunch of expansions coming out. This is going to be the stretch goals that includes a cooperative and 6 scenarios for competitive play. A lot of rich stuff with these stretch goals you can buy retail as well. And then coming up next, there's a Great Wall of Ancient Beasts. This is going to add a new beast to the game itself, so new beast to the game. So add some new ways to kind of make some variable gameplay to the game. And the next thing is going to be the Black Powder expansion. I heard this Black Powder expansion adds a lot to the game, so it adds just so much of it that you just can't play without it. Yeah, that's what I heard about it. This is also coming out to retail. And the last thing coming out is going to be the Great Wall Iron Dragon Blister. So this is going to be it has with a huge miniature, and what this miniature does is it adds a new location to your board where you can actually send someone to activate the dragon. The dragon does like massive damage massive damage to the troops. So it kind of kills off the troops, does a lot, but there's also repercussions and it actually affects you. It's like a last resort, essentially. The Great Wall, and that's going to be all coming out May 5th. It's going to be the Great Wall with the miniature versions along with the expansion. Definitely think the miniature version is a must. It just adds so much more to the game than the meeples. However, definitely consider the price, as it's a lot of content for a game that you may or may not even play that often. This is going to be the Great Wall and expansions coming out May 5th by Awakened Realms. Coming up next is going to be Masters of the Universe, the board game Clash for Eternia. All coming out May 5th. Keep in mind, same thing, it's going to be the base game with a lot of expansions. This game was in Kickstarter, now it's coming out to retail. Clash for Eternia. So this is going to be about He-Man, and if you're a fan of the IP, you're probably going to enjoy this game. I never watched Masters of the Universe, honestly. I just never interested me. I just didn't like it too much. I was more of a Power Rangers fan back in the 90s, and I'm saying the 90s. I was born in the 90s. I'm a Power Rangers fan, so I didn't watch too much Masters of the Universe. I like Power Rangers, Digimon. However, let's talk about this game. He-Man and his allies duel Skeletor and his minions for control of Eternia. So it's going to be either a one versus many game or a cooperative game versus an AI. You're either going to be playing as He-Man and crew, who I'm not aware. It's going to be the good guys versus the bad guys, and you're going to be going through different scenarios, and the one versus many is the one person plays either all the evil characters, and then the rest of the players play as He-Man and the good guys. And you're going to have different scenarios, you're going to go through different boards and such, and you're going to be having an objective you have to complete, and you both have an objective, you're trying to both complete your objective to win the game. The variability here comes from all the different scenarios you're going to be playing as, and you're going to have different characters to use, as well as a lot of expansions to pick up after you have completed and played through all the original stuff and you want more. There's multiple game modes, there's going to be different scenarios, and nothing apparently is ever the same. If you're a big fan of Masters of the Universe and you like the IP, I think this is going to be up your alley even because of the miniatures. Typically, CMON does a lot of great miniatures, and they actually add in a lot of great components to the game itself. The gameplay reminds me very similar to other games they have already produced. The action selection system reminds me of that. However, I don't think a lot of the games are one versus many or even, I was going to say cooperative, but they have a lot of games that are cooperative. They don't have many one versus many games. This, like I said, if you like the IP, you're probably going to like this game. Let me tell you about the expansions real quick here. And it's going to be Masters of the Universe, I might be saying that right, She-Ra, and the Great Rebellion. So it adds a new character to the game, some new scenarios, and the next expansion is going to be Masters of the Universe, the Evil Horde. This is going to add some new expansion for like some Savage Warriors, and also some new miniatures and scenarios and characters to play as. Like I said, if you're a fan of Masters of the Universe, these miniatures are probably going to look amazing, and even painted, I think they're going to look great. I love seeing painted miniatures and people who actually go over that and do that. I always say I'm going to be doing that with my miniatures that I keep. I never do. Also the nervousness of messing them up because I'm not a painter at all. I'm definitely new to all that side of the hobby. And also find the time to paint my all-in Kickstarters of like different games. Really tough. And the next expansion is going to be Masters of the Universe Assault on Castle Grayskull. So this kind of adds some new scenarios. It takes the battle from Eternia to the gates of Castle Grayskull itself, and you're going to have a new nice miniature centerpiece. I don't believe they had a picture of it, unfortunately, but it's going to add some new villains to fight, of course, and new people to play as. A lot of content for this game. It's all coming out May 5th. And yeah, if you're a fan, like I said it before, if you're a fan of Masters of the Universe, this might be for you. If you're not a fan of Masters of the Universe, definitely look at the gameplay a lot. There's a lot of content already by different content creators that you can actually get a good look and see like, maybe it is, maybe it's not. Also, as the game's coming out, maybe give it a few weeks and you can find out if you do or don't like the game. And we are at the end of the video. This is a lot of games. I tried my best to compile everything and not blabber or just kind of carry off on tangents too much and too often, only because I want to make sure these games are informative and we consider the fact that it's your time and that we are making sure that we're keeping your time kind of the priority, that you know what's going on. As always, timestamps are going to be in the description, so you can skip around to what you do and don't want to watch. However, if you made it this far into the video, you watched the video all the way through, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That helps the channel so much. The retention rate, I can present as stats and statistics so we can let people know that we're actually having fun watching these videos and they're informative, and I would love to hear more in the comments down below. Drop a like, a comment, or even consider subscribing, only to let me know that we're doing a good job and we're doing great to promote and show you these games that you can consider buying if you want to. Also, this video is completely free, therefore I don't charge any publishers for anything of this. So if you're a publisher and you want your game featured on these videos, please reach out to me the Friday before your game's release week so we can make sure we have your game featured. This is a love for the hobby and just a way to promote and push games out to everybody so everyone can know what's coming out this week and what they can buy now. Thank you for watching the video. I appreciate it. Have a good one.